we are back for another Hockey Nation live show with hockey coach Go She's directly for the beautiful country at Terren on an amazing, great Friday night, April 19, 2024. And tonight, from Augsburg, the co-host, Mr. Marko Larrabee, is in the house.
Good evening, Coach. Good evening, Hockey Nation. Friday before the playoffs. Everybody has a show about playoff predictions. So you've come to a good place. Like we'll be making our playoff predictions tonight for the West. Pretty excited, and we'll also be keeping an eye on the Laval and Belleville game that's going on in the background. Right now, it's currently still 2-1 for Laval, but it's going to be a fun night, Coach. 1-on-1.
Will be interesting because Laval cannot give 1 point to Belleville. So Belleville looking for tie the game, honestly. And Laval try to be sure they don't have no point to give to the Belleville if they want to stay in the playoff. They play again tomorrow, I believe, for the last game of the season. Talking about the playoff prediction, Mr. Marko, but we invite everybody to join the NHL.com/bracket. The hockey league is called the Ab Nation podcast, so you can join our league. Luciano provides some kind of link to join, and more people we have, better it is. So if you want to do it, that would be awesome. First of all, I'm going to welcome everybody. A couple of people here. Le moderator, Luciano, by the way, is in the house. Welcome back, Luciano. Thanks to be with us. AK is from Alberta. We want to talk about the matchup for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll definitely talk about this tonight. Larry Lavallée from Tucson is in the house tonight. Larry, thanks to be with our Canadian Live show. Makes the Sharks. He's in the house tonight. He's excited because he's a big fan of the Nashville Predator because he lives in Nashville, the wall of the country music, Sharks, the Vanderbilt University over there. And Artap is in the house, and Artap is with us and talking about what's going on around the Laval Rocket and the prediction of the Western Conference. And Artap did a great job last night, Marko, about delivery
Very
at
good
the
job.
Western Conference. It was very interesting and very entertaining. We appreciate the job of Artap, and no doubt in my mind, you're going to provide us the same quality of knowledge about the Western Conference. Randy Walkman talking about AK. What about Randy Walkman, the big fans and the writer of the Calgary Flame and follow the Toronto Maple Leaf, is in the house tonight. I'm sure he's going to have some insight about the matchup and the Western Conference. And AK, Steve G almost on that side of the world where they have better chance to watching most those games compared to us on the Eastern time. And that's the trend between us and them. So I appreciate that to be with us, everybody. Tonight, Harry est de retour avec nous ce soir. Harry, merci beaucoup d'être avec nous. J'espère que tout va bien, Harry. J'espère que tout est avec toi. Roy from Bangkok is in the house tonight. Welcome back. Thanks to be with our Canadian show. And Sensica, let's go Canucks. The Canucks have an interesting matchup to talk about. What about our friend Vinny, 007? James is in the house tonight. Vinny, hopefully doing well, ready for you. It's completely messed up for me. It's like it's the beginning of the weekend, but I feel like I'm ready, because yesterday for us it was Saturday. It's complicated to understand what's going on, but look like we have Friday night and Saturday morning here in Thailand. So we'll see what's happening for the rest of my weekend.
You look pretty dry, Coach, for a guy that was supposed to be all wet. Looks like you dried off nicely.
I
so
dry
that's
up.
good.
When you come back, you take 2 showers and you go through those kind of cream they put on your face like all night, all day. So it's like
Was it hot too? Like, I guess it's really good to have water sprayed on you when it's that hot outside. But what was the weather out for the big day? Was it really hot outside? Is it
it's
hard
always
to
hot.
get?
Like rain. It's the season and no rain right now, so it's always hot every day. Like
Wow.
it goes like this until like in August. Barely like rain one couple hours during those 4 months of the summertime here. So it's like 92, 93. Sun is up, and yesterday about
Damn.
like 50,000 people on the street and downtown Pattaya everywhere. Like wherever you go, you walk, you get splashed. Like You go in the tuk-tuk, you get wet very quickly. I dry up like when I go eat, something like that. But it's everywhere on the top of the car, on the truck. It's foam. They shoot foam everywhere. They have a twin spot, music loud. It's crazy on both sides of the beach. So in Jean-Bien and Pattaya. So it's the best festival. The young kid, 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, threw the water to the people. It's for them is a tradition, and they celebrate, and time for them to be all together. So it's a really interesting moment
It's
of
really
that
cool.
to know about how they will turn around. So it'd be good. It was fun to see that. So anyhow, Ron
Awesome.
with King is in the house tonight. Ron, hopefully doing well. Another moderator. I want to talk about the Kings. I'm sure about that. When the people say hi, everybody. That's great. RJ Calabro knocked the door. Sean Ben Rance signed his contract level with the Canada Avalanche. Thank you, RJ, to sharing that with us. Beyond the ice, understand. People asking me what kind of game you do the playoff. Marco this year decided to go everywhere. So I'm going to cover the first game of the game between Toronto and Boston for one night. Then I'm going to move on the next night with the Canucks and then the Winnipeg Jet Colorado. So I cannot be always like it could be 7 o'clock p.m. but 9 o'clock p.m. also. I try to cover each matchup if I can. So just people know, yes, we're going to be live every day. It's just like not necessarily one specific team. Like Toronto, not normally I don't bring a lot of people. Marco, first we are Montreal Canadiens. Secondly, there are people does all the Toronto Maple Leaf left and right. Sportnet is on YouTube channel too, so it's like really spread about that. Florida
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tampa Bay, it's not bring a lot of people like the Carolina Hurricanes. So I think the Oilers and the Canucks and the Jet and Connects will be good because they bring new people, fans that have been in the playoff for a couple of years. So I think it would be good to have a fun.
Maybe you could also try kind of like playoffs on the fly, right? Like
Yeah,
especially in the first round, coach. It's I know for me, I'm old. My controller, I'm going to need new batteries after the first round because I'm going to be. It doesn't
weekend
like,
is a bit
but it's a
harder,
weird
Marco.
schedule this year.
Weekend is a little bit harder because they start at 1 o'clock, two
Yeah,
o'clock for the night. Monday,
yeah,
Thursday, it's good because now you
yeah.
start at 7 o'clock until 12 every night. You said you need more people about that. And I'll talk about who had Doug Barron and Rebecca as trouble play for Laval Rockets. Still 2-1 to go with 10 minutes to go remaining. That's gave up all the update, guys. That'd be great. Claude Richard is in the house tonight. Coach doing Toronto game, not one last long. I'll tap about that. Only 4 game, maybe. Who knows about this? We'll start with a couple of news we saw about the Montreal Canadiens. First of all, Philippe Mazar got eliminated by the London Knights in 4 game, another sweep. And then, but they have a really good playoff for Philippe
You did,
Mazar
yeah, yeah.
overall. Good year until he got hurt, but he recovered after that. He finished strong with the playoff. Definitely to be a member of the Laval Rocket. You can see Mazar. I look about 2 game, not full time, but I look about the clips of Mazar compared the year before that. He's more strong on the ice. He's more points on him side of him. You can see when he get in charge, he can carry on that team very well. Again, is a player going to join the Laval Rocket, and he need to get a little bit bigger, but. I like the his play this year's development progression. So it's a good news to see Laval Rocket going to get Philippe Mazar next season.
Yeah, like I think I've been pretty vocal. I have my doubts about him, not just because of him as a player, but just because of the type of player that he is and whether there's really room for a player like that with Montreal. But at the very least, next year, definitely will be a great asset for Laval. I don't think we've heard yet, if coach, if he's going to go to the World Championships. I think that would be a great experience for him to go over there and play with Big Brother Slav. Like I think that would be fun for us to watch
It's
as well too.
confirmed,
So
right? Sakowski is going to be there now.
oh yeah, Slavkovsky's going. So, but no word yet as to whether Mr. Machar will be there. So that would be really fun to see them play together. I know they enjoy being around each other a lot. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And yeah, for sure, interested to see how Machar does in Laval next year.
And for the people follow the NHL draft, don't forget the U18 start April 25th. So we're about 5-6 days to get there. We're still waiting for a couple of spots for the team roster for Team Canada. Why? Because they have some elimination on the WHL, on the OHL, and the QM. And some maybe like Iginla could join their team,
Yeah,
like Mezal could join Slovakia if he get an invitation. So we'll give you all the
and
information about what's going on for that one. Was Sean Manan, but Sean Manan played 83 game, Mr. Marko, this season. Players with prone injuries the last couple of years, right? He missed a lot of game with years to years to years. And why to talk about Sean Manan, but first of all, he got traded for the trade deadline for the Montreal Canadiens, and they get a first round pick in return for the Winnipeg Jets. We still don't know what it would be the pick of the Jets until we see. The best thing, Mr. Marko, is going to be 23rd if every star are aligned together, and the worst could be 32 at the end. So we'll see what could happen to get that. If for sure is like the Rangers, the Vancouver Canucks, everybody behind them on the first position, all behind, and they got eliminated. That's not going to happen. It's take a lot of wild card surprise to do that, but still, we'll see what the Winnipeg Jet pick. By the end of the day, Monahan is going to be a UFA. Can he return to Montreal? I don't know. But remind me this, boy, the reason I talk about Monahan is because a lot of people questionable about Kirby Duck. He's a prone injury. He's going to miss again. He's not strong enough. He's still healthy. Look, everybody go through those kind of situations. I think for me, it's a good proof now, a good statement by Monahan. You can be a couple of years out and then could play a full year. Hopefully that could happen to Kirby Daka for the Montreal Canadiens next season.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like it's all about dedication, right? Like it's all about putting yourself in the best position. Again, like the thing with Doc, in my opinion, coach, is it's not like, let's say, let's use Josh Norris as an example, right? Josh Norris had a recurring injury, his shoulder injury that keeps kind of rearing its head over and over every season, right? If it's a case like that, then I'd be a little bit more worried because it's a nagging injury that just doesn't seem to go away. But with Doc, it's kind of just these freak occurrences, that have happened, like breaking a finger, hurting, obviously his knee this year coming off that weird hit that he had. So I get it. Like the pattern is hard to overlook when you see a guy that's missed that much time. But I feel a little bit better, in the fact that it's kind of random, right? So, but I get it. I understand why people are nervous. And what an amazing season by Sean Monahan, coach. Like, you have to feel great for the guy. He's had a really tough couple of years, put himself in a really good position. It's hard to root against Winnipeg because I always like Winnipeg and I like Tyler Toffoli. I like Sean Monahan, but I don't want them to go super far in the playoffs just because of what you just mentioned. Coach,
Belvin,
it's impossible. It's going to be impossible that 2 years in a row, Montreal's traded first round pick goes to 31, right? It's impossible. The odds are like, we were already so unlucky with that Florida pick last year that it would just be so weird for that to happen again. Okay, so 2-2 now, Laval and Belleville. Yikes, with with less than 6
5:24 to
minutes.
go remaining on the third period. Now the Laval could remove the goaltender at the end of the game.
Yeah,
They have no choice to get that pot over there
yeah,
if they want to win. They have a couple of people talk about something. We have a question for Inarta, but before that, Marco, every day at 9 o'clock p.m., at 10 o'clock p.m., I do a question poll for the Montreal Canadiens. And tonight, we talk about Monahan, Mr. Marco, and then we talk about the Kirby Duck. But the question tonight, Renator is saying is if you could bring back one Montreal Canadian player from the last 3 seasons, who will it be? Toffoli, Monahan, Lekonen, Romanov, or any other players like Mike Hoffman, Drouin, Dadonov,
yeah.
Chariot. I can go all the way like this, right?
Yeah.
But
Kakanyemi. Kakanyemi, he could be on that list.
yeah,
Yeah. For me, coach, on this list here, I'm pretty sure I would have to go with Arteri Lehkonen. I think he would be a great fit. In he's proven that he can play in a top six in Colorado. I think he would be a great fit. In Montreal's top six here. Like, imagine him with Doc, and then you would just need to go get like a right winger, like a right-handed shot that could kind of score some goals to go on that line. I've always loved Lehkonen. I miss him quite a bit. Still don't love the return that we got on that trade either. So for me, it would be Lehkonen.
yeah, it's a good answer because they couldn't fit with age, the way he play, the great
Yeah.
example. He will fit in the culture of Martin Saint Louis.
Oh yeah.
Overall, I think that's a good point about this. Pierre Winstock is in the house from Facebook. Welcome back. Great hockey coach. You travel. Ego with Romana for him. Abination is in the
Interesting.
house tonight. Welcome back. And then that's what we got so far. And then Egor Zokolov tied the game for the Ottawa Senat
Mm,
for the Belleville Senator with 3:19 to go between both teams. Will be something we're going to follow up until to the end of this game between both of them. Let's see what we got here. John Gregor is in the house. Welcome back, John. Thanks to be with our Canadian show. Glad to see that. And then we're going to finish with that one. Before we move on, we talk about the World Championship. Suzuki said no. He's not going to represent Team
okay.
Canada.
All right.
Confirm about this one. So it's going to be out for the Team Canada. Uh,
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt his chances for the Four Nations Cup and for the Olympics. I'd say he probably had a pretty minimal chance of making that team, like an outside chance, and even if he was, he might have been an extra player. I think Hockey Canada kind of has a bit of a higher opinion on Thomas than they do Suzuki. But yeah, that's going to be an issue for him unless there's injuries or something for Team Canada roster. He's not putting himself in the best position to the Team Canada management. But coach, I'm not going to lie, I'm selfish. Like I would just rather Suzuki just chill. Had a very long season. There's a reason that he's never missed, an NHL game, right? He takes care of his body. So whatever works for him, he knows that he has a very good track record of coming to the training camp prepared, and he's very kind of reliable guy. So and very kind of stable. So whatever is working for him, just continue doing that because we need him healthy and ready for next year for sure. So
Yeah, I talk about Suzuki also. He finished with an injury. Marco, he got a black shot last game,
yeah,
and it looked like um, that's the problem they got. So that's pretty much it we got for the Montreal Canadiens. The next one, it was, of course, the Laval Rocket. What's going on with 2:05 remaining on this game, still 2-2 between that. And tonight, what we got for you guys, it's easy. It's the NHL Playoff matchup prediction on the Western Conference. You can see the 8 logo represent those 8 teams compete for to reach the final Stanley Cup for that one. And then if you follow me, I did not do any video yesterday, but if you can follow the Sun Crime or other channel, but I did a video on was my MVP. I select Nick Zuski. If I ask you, Marco, what it would be your MVP?
I think it's not a bad choice. Like I think he'd be right there, but for me, it's Matheson. I think just with the minutes that he played this year, to me, you could. I think they're right head to head, right? Like it's a pretty close call between Suzuki and Matheson. Matheson just had such an incredible year this year. Probably the best season a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens has had in the last 25 years, I would say, or it's close to that. So for me, either Suzuki or Matheson are a really good choice.
Awesome. Great pick about this. And like I said, we're going to talk about Marco. I have three fun trophy at the end of the show. Who it will be the Calder. We have the Vizina. And I think the next one is the administration. of the GM of the year
Yeah.
on that
Okay.
one. So that's what we got on this night.
Awesome.
So let's move on to the playoff Western Conference we got for everybody here. And let's see what we got on this one, the three. Should be this one. I don't know if it's this one. No. There you go. I knew I'm going to be wrong about this one. Let's start in with that one. The Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predator. This is the first one you have for you tonight. Wally Snyder knocked the door, by the way. We'll welcome Wally Snyder, Willie. And don't forget, everyone, to click on the likes.
Awesome. Yeah, well, Coach, this is going to be a great series. So, overall, before we get into the individual series, this is probably, a banner year for Canadian teams in the playoffs, right? Like, hard to think of a year where probably had the best chance for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. So, pretty exciting if you're rooting for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. For me personally, I'm a pretty petty guy. I like the fact that Montreal is the last team to win in '93, but it will be still fun to see a Canadian team do well. So for this series, Coach, like first time that Vancouver's been in the series in the playoffs for a while. Interesting matchup. On paper, Vancouver's had such a strong season that you wouldn't imagine it being that close. But I think for me, I ended up actually kind of picking Nashville in this series, and I'll tell you why. Like, there's some of the indicators that I see. On like I said, on paper, it doesn't look like it should be that close because the Canucks were 3-0 against the Predators this year, and they outscored them 13-6 overall. But the thing to realize, though, Coach, is that all the games that they played, Nashville versus Vancouver, were very early on in the year. Like, remember early in the year, Vancouver was just on fire, right? Like they just couldn't lose. And then Nashville, they've been really, really strong more in the second half of the season. If you look at their records since, say, January 31st, can you guess who has the best record since January 31st between Vancouver and Nashville?
It's Nashville.
Yeah, and it's not really that close.
No, no,
Since,
no.
say, the
Like
end of
Nashville, remember, it was on the straight of what, 18 game,
yeah, yeah,
19 game,
yeah,
right?
unreal, right?
And
Yeah,
then
so
you
since
have
January,
them Vancouver for All-Star game, Saint All-Star game, play only for 520, it was 540. They are in the middle of the NHL at 13, 15 in the standing, send the All-Star
yeah,
game. So you have two teams really on front path, send that. I know, understand the injury at Damco, but still.
yeah, but still, right? Yeah, if you look at their records since the end of January, the Preds were 21, 8-3, and Vancouver was 17, 12, and 4 since January. So, for me, Coach, like if you look at the depth of both teams, for sure, like Vancouver is a pretty well balanced team. I think on defense, it's a pretty like I see that they're the defense rating is like 27-14. I don't know, like I don't see that big of a gap there. For sure, on the offensive side of things, like it shows here, like Vancouver definitely has more elite talent, but there's something about that first line, like that first line right now with Forsberg and O'Reilly and with Nyquist is just magical. Like, you guys remember that game that they played against Montreal? Like, it was like the Harlem Globetrotters. They've been so clutch. So I think it's going to be a closer series than people think. And I think I think for me, Vancouver is that they just don't have a lot of playoff experience too, right? The last time they were in the playoffs was during the bubble. Really, who's the player that has the most playoff experience on this team? I think it's probably JT Miller, who made it to the finals, I believe, with the Rangers, right? So he's got about a bit of playoff experience. But other than that, you don't have a lot of Vancouver, kind of players that are going to be, in a position to leverage a lot of the experience that they've had in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a close one, Coach. I think it's going to be a long series. As they say, if you call it in 7 games, it means that you just really don't know. So I'm gonna go out on a limb, a bit of a hot take. I'm gonna say Nashville in 7 for this one.
Nashville, the first wild card, shocking on
Yeah,
this, upset from the books of the hockey. But look, you nailed it on fun thing. For me, is the inexperience of the players and Vancouver Canucks make me a little bit nervous for them.
Yeah.
On paper, they look better, right? Zaros versus Danko, that's pretty even. Roman OZ, I think, over Quinn Hughes, in my opinion, at this moment. And then um, you have to give credit for Andrew Brunette for what he did with the Nashville Predator. But you go in the
Two
playoff right
very
now,
well coached teams.
it's all about the
They're two
mindset,
very well coached.
right?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's all about the mindset, like how do you feel it. And I think Nashville are a little bit more inside of their team believe more at Vancouver Canucks. So for me, I would go with Nashville. Like I said, and seven, like you said, 7 game for Nashville also, and we'll see what happening on that series between the
Yeah.
Nashville and the Vancouver Canucks. And again, if you look about the goal again average, 20.4 versus 2.36 is pretty good for both
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah. Now, one thing I guess, Coach, that we have to say is, you know, Demko, during the bubble, which is the last time that Vancouver was in the playoffs, you remember they called him Bubble Demko, right? Like he was just El Fuego on fire, just amazing, right? So again, goaltending is the key thing, obviously during the playoffs, but that's a little bit of a concern, right? Like Demko, he's had like one start, I think, since he's come back. He looked good and everything, but it's a little bit of a concern that he's kind of coming off cold. But you could look at it the other way. He's well rested going into the playoffs. So it's going to, like most series, it's going to come down to goaltending. And I'm
Yep,
interested to see kind of what Saros does, in this kind of environment. Like he's a big game player, right? So should be interesting to see.
absolutely about that. The next thing we'll talk about, guys, is series number 2. The Golden Knight at the Dallas Star. The Golden Knight lost their game last night, and now they're going to play again Dallas Star. If they was winning their game again the Ducks, they would be again the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know if it's personal, a choice, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, they face maybe one of the best team in NHL, top 3 on my eyes, with the most consistency, the Dallas Star. And the Golden Knight, they welcome back Max Stone for the playoff, and they have Timo Meyer with not Timo Meyer, but Thomas
On
Earl
the field? Yeah,
and
yeah,
Annie
yeah.
Finn for the playoff. That team is stacked. Now, it reminds me a little bit more the New York Rangers. Barbashev last year, he was the only one joined the team. But this year, about other players joined the team, like Anthony
Yeah.
Manta. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like the same way
Yeah.
happening with the New York Rangers. I think if you can
Mhm.
put only one piece of the puzzle and you become a factors, like on the top 6, I think that helps. But when you're starting to have 3, 4, um,
Hannafin. Hannafin as well, yeah.
yeah. So it's
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point, Coach. Like, I think Chris Drury was, with good reason, I think criticized last year loading up with Tarasenko and Patrick Kane, and I think to most observers, like that was they loaded up too much and kind of the same kind of players. I think those moves, like they're good for Vegas in the long term. Like I think Thomas Hurdle and Hannafin are, they're going to be there for a long time. Hannafin's re-signed, but you're right. Like that's a lot of new pieces to kind of add in the short term. So yeah, this is an interesting. Like, well, no. Well, I guess I won't spoil it, but like, if anybody remembers who I picked to win the Stanley Cup this summer, my pick hasn't changed. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I won't spoil it yet. But a couple things looking at this series. So again, on paper, Vegas is 3-0 against the Stars this year. Very similar story to what I just covered though with Nashville and Vancouver, Coach. All the games between Dallas and Vegas, you remember how hot of a start Vegas had this year. They're very similar to Vancouver. Like I think they went almost unbeaten for the like 10 or first 12 games or something like that. And they played a couple of their games in that time against Dallas, right? So all of their games against Dallas were like before Christmas or right around Christmas. So overall, these were very close games though. Like 2 out of the 3 games were 1-goal games, really low scoring, like 2-1, 3-2. So expect this series to be a bit of a grudge match. Like these are 2 big, strong, deep teams, that know how to play the right way. Vegas is a prototypical playoff team it's not going to be wide open hockey, coach. It's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty vicious at times. They have the personnel to play a pretty physical game, I think, and they're both loaded up with skill pretty good. But just looking at their records, again, save since the end of January, the Knights, they're just barely over 500. We know that, again, there was a lot of injuries there. Like, it's pretty crazy, that the Knights basically end up like in a wild card spot. But if you look at Dallas, coach, since January, they're 22-8-2, right? So Dallas is humming on all cylinders right now. I really like Dallas. So for me, I'm going to go Dallas and 6 for this one.
Dallas and 6 on that one. Again, a Golden Knight. If you look about the season, the Dallas, and at the trade deadline, they add Danev for Dallas. They stabilize a bit the lack of the physicality on the
Yeah.
defense. I know we have Akapen. Is Akapen? Is it Akapen his last name?
Hockenpah.
Okay. And then the Thomas Harley, I believe, is his first name, and he scored like 15 goals.
Harley. Thomas
Yeah,
Harley. Yeah, yeah. They have
yeah,
an amazing decor. Don't forget, obviously you have like an all-star back there too, right? That's playing a lot of minutes. Like the Dallas decor is really, really strong. And coach, the thing with Dallas, what's really surprising if you look at how good they've been this year, that's with their goaltending not even really being at where it should be. Like that's the most shocking part. Like if and we all know kind of how good he's been in the playoffs before, right? Like remember that first round against Calgary, how dominant he was. Like he almost single handedly beat Calgary in that series. So if he's going to play at that level again, he hasn't so far this year, and Dallas is still this good, right? So if Dallas's goaltending, is even close to kind of where it should be, then that's why I have it more at 6 than 7. You know,
yeah, that's right. If I said everyone in the chat, give me, if you think about the Dallas Star, 3 players play an impact for them. Like not only for the player, but if your 3 players said who they are the best, maybe, or what they are, who would be your 3 players, Marco?
for Dallas, like yeah, like I think it's hard not to, for the playoffs, like Joe Pavelski is still right there. Like again, the whole first line is still just so impactful, right? But to me, it's the depth, right? You have Wyatt Johnston on the third line there, who's a 30 goal scorer, and he's what, like 22 years old, right? So so it's hard to pinpoint. There's so much depth on that team, but to me, like it's hard to not say Joe Pavelski because of his playoff pedigree and everything, right? But again, it's just so much depth. Like the 3 lines are so well spread out. You got Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson on your first line, Duchesne, Dadonov, and Marchment, which is a really nice mix there. And then on your third line, you've got Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven, and Jamie Benn on your third line. Like that is deep, right? And then, like I said, on defense, like you mentioned Harley, and you mentioned adding Tanev, and you got Essa Lindell, and then of course Heiskanen. Like you can't really ignore Heiskanen. Like the guy is arguably could be one of the top 5 to 7 defensemen in the entire league, right? So yeah, that's a tough question. Like to isolate kind of one or couple players that are just going to be impactful, because that's the strength of Dallas's team. They're just so balanced. Who would you pick out as the most, like, as to who needs to step up?
You nailed it. I think people would give a lot of hands, or they would give a Pavelski or Robinson, Eskinen, Ottinger, right? But for me, it's
Yeah,
really Wyatt Johnson with 30 goals, because that gave the depth of the Dallas Star.
yeah,
That's for me. That's a really important key. It's a little bit like the Carolina Hurricane with Martin Nekash or Teravainen play on the third
yeah,
line with that team. So for me, this is a Dallas, the more complete lineup they have for the couple of years. Sandy will reach the finals Stanley Cup against Tampa Bay Lightning. They never been the same team in the playoff. And hopefully the captain Jimmy Benn learned from his mistake last year with the game suspension. I think that
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
momentum of that series. And so again, on that one, I would slightly go with Dallas Star. Vegas, like A2 said, they are the winner last year. They have to beat them, and I
yeah.
understand that. But the Dallas Star are from the top to the bottom right now with a goaltender. Uh, for me, they're going to win in this in six also for me.
There you go, Coach. We're 100% aligned so far. I think on our picks. What
Yeah,
did Intertap have for this one? Intertap, I think.
it
Let's
took
see. I think
Dallas.
he took Dallas. Like, he sent us his picks right before. So
Hey, I
let's
don't
see. Yeah,
know.
he's got Dallas. He's got Dallas in 6-2. Yeah, he's got Dallas in 6-2.
Gary is in the house. Woody Snutter is in the house. Zenit Gaming and Kayla in the house tonight for St. George de Beauce, I believe, or that area. Zenit Gaming, long time it was been with us. Marko sent the beginning of the show about this. I apologize. I never changed on that one. I apologize. I forgot
Yeah,
this.
it's good.
But
Can we just can we just take a look at that for a minute? I was curious to kind of see. Um, yeah, yeah, that makes like that's pretty tight, eh? Like, look at the overwhelm. Like, I think most people would say that Vegas's decor is really strong, but look at the rating there, right? Like, that just shows you the depth that Vegas or that Dallas has on the blue line. But I think this is a pretty valid kind of like representation. To me, the wild card again, like any other any other series, it's going to be goaltending. Ottinger, if he plays like at 80-85% of what he did in the bubble a couple of years against the Calgary Flames, this is going to be a really dangerous team that's going to have a really long run. Um, and again with Vegas, like it's hard to bet against their goaltending because they won the cup last year and Aiden Hill was really strong. But on paper, it's a bit of a
it's
mismatch,
the
right? But
defensemen. They carry on that team really well.
yeah,
They don't have the normal template to win the Stanley Cup last season. The special team was not very good,
yeah.
and find a way to get that. And they put the player together. So, really interesting about this. We'll move on to the next series, guys. And again, I apologize. I don't have
Ooh.
all the information about that. The Kings versus Oilers. If I can recall it, the Oilers are 3-1-0 this season and 4 games, and the Los Angeles are 1-2-1. Um, in the last couple of years, the Edmonton Oilers, this is the third year
Third year in a
straight
row.
that they play each other
Yeah.
on the first round. And I know Ronnie is in the house who gave us some update about that. So I'd like to hear what do you think?
Yeah, like Coach, like this is not a recording. First round LA Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers, and it kind of came down to the last day of the season as to whether the Oilers were going to be playing Las Vegas. If you're an Oilers fan, I would suspect that you probably are pretty happy about this matchup compared to facing Vegas in the first round. It's the devil that right? Like you've it's the third year in a row, and you've had success against LA in the in the last couple of years in the first round. Again, it's not to say that LA is an easy out, for Edmonton, because as Montreal Canadiens fans, we know that Philippe Danault has a knack for limiting. You can't say shutting down, McDavid, but Philippe Danault has a knack for limiting, containing somewhat McDavid, right? So if there's any team, like down the middle that has the potential to kind of at least kind of limit Edmonton, for sure it's LA, right? Like unfortunately with LA, they obviously made a big move this summer, bringing Pierre-Luc Dubois there, and it hasn't really worked out. Pierre-Luc Dubois has been a pretty decent playoff performer though so far. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity to play in the playoffs. He had that good year in Columbus, and I think he showed pretty well in Winnipeg. As he was okay against Montreal the year that they lost in the bubble, and so he has the potential. Coach, like you hear this all the time, right? It's a brand new season, opportunity for players who haven't had a really good season to make everyone forget about what happened in the regular season and do that, right? So it's an interesting matchup. Like so if I'm an Edmonton fan, I feel good about it because there's a lot of familiarity with this. And overall, I think you're confident that Edmonton can kind of come out on top in this series. So that being said, LA is not a pushover, right? Like really the question mark for me again with LA is goaltending. Last year, I think they were going into the playoffs with probably stronger goaltending with Korpisalo versus a Cam Talbot. I'm not a huge Cam Talbot believer at this stage in his career. And you have to give props for Jeff Skinner in terms of how he's been able to turn his season around, right? So, we know the firepower that the Edmonton Oilers has. The big difference with the Oilers this year, coach, is depth, right? Like a little bit more sandpaper. They can probably play a couple different ways, adding Perry. I really like Hollowell. I've been really high on him for a while. He comes into the playoffs kind of like on a nice run. They have, I think they have him playing with Perry and on the third line, I think with McLeod. So that's a really nice third line, right? Like Perry, we know he's not the fastest guy, but you still have like a lot of speed with McLeod on that line. And then you're able to kind of like move a player like Fogle around on your top six to give a little bit more size. So, and then you have Henrique, right? Just all that versatility, being able to kind of take face-offs and a little bit of play out. Like he went to the finals with the Devils, right? So a lot of nice little additions for Edmonton just to kind of round out their lineup and take a little bit of pressure off, the two-headed monster that that is Draisaitl and McDavid, right? So, question with Edmonton always is going to be their decor. Darnell Nurse. He has a tendency to kind of like make some pretty big, crucial errors in big games sometimes. So, I would like for them to be able to limit his ice time a little bit, like not lean on him and have him playing more than say 25 minutes a game. Like I think that's a little bit of a recipe for disaster for a long playoff run with Darnell Nurse. So as long as the decor, can kind of stay balanced and spread the minutes around and play a smart game. I like Edmonton again this year. I think I had Edmonton in 6. I think for this one. Let me just confirm. Yeah, I think I had Edmonton in 6. Yep.
The key behind that, Marco, is like you talk about Nurse. I will say to you, because they have now matches at home, is going to
Yep.
satisfy a little bit more that side with Evan Bouchard take the minute on power play now. So Nurse is more like his responsibility are still there, but less minute on the score sheet at the end of the day for them. Again, the depth of the Oilers, they have it this year with Connor Brown. I understand you have not a very good year, but again, you have a guy like at the bottom of your bottom 6, you have a Connor Brown. But the key for me is going to be Zach Hyman, RNH, and then it's going to be Evander Kane. They are the 3 plus 5 because the support. That's the word for them for others is the support. And after that, I'm not worried about the defenseman overall. I'm more worried about Skinner. So Skinner have to carry on this. But you look about this Skinner versus Dalbot. I know Dalbot have a good year. And then the others did what the King did last year, the traded line. They get Kaprizov, they tried with Copacedo, and they tried to bring some help. This year is the others hit, at the traded line. They bring more players around the team. I think Andrew Key is another good key matchup players that we will know he can face to Pierre Dubois or Philippe Dano if they want to use that line. And I think that will helping the Oilers a long run. So for me on that series, I will go with Edmonton Oilers. I will go in 6, but I wouldn't be shocked they go in 5.
Yeah. Again, like this is going to sound like a recording, but goaltending, right? If Talbot plays well, then maybe it extends to 6. But if Talbot can't kind of keep up, and if it's going to be an issue, then it could. You're right; it could be a little bit shorter. But again, like LA is it's a decent team, right? Let's not forget that they started the season really, really hot. They've shown that they can get really hot and play really, really good sound hockey as a team, right? It kind of got away from them a little bit this year. But again, new season, you're hitting the restart on the season here. And if you're LA, you're sick of losing to the Edmonton Oilers in the first round, right? So they'll be a motivated team. So it's again, it's going to be a fun series. I like the matchup. Have a little bit of a sweet spot for Philippe Danault, of course, but I don't think Phil's going to make it to the second round, unfortunately, again this
It's
year.
pretty even on that series matchup. A lot of people go Oilers, some people go with the Kings about this. And I want to finish this with one element. I think a lot of people say the defensemen is not they are not good, everything like that. I said, look, yes, at the beginning of the season, right? But if you look about the half of the season, and Sandy Reed, they had Paul Coffey behind the bench.
Mm.
I think for me, it's going to be another key role. And this is the farewell of Ken Allen at the same time. So if you put this
Yeah.
together, it's a bit helping the others. Still, did not show up at the beginning of the playoff with a lot of inconsistency. I would say the last month, but McDavid was hurt. I don't want to give excuse because I feel this year one team.
Super Chat.
Yeah, but example, I mean, I'm not going to get there. I think Marco, if you have one team can have out in a mission like the McKinnon before that did it with the Colorado Avalanche before that, the Ovechkin in 2018. Some player you never win the Stanley Cup after 8, 9, 10 years in the NHL. But this is the where this year McDavid it could go that all the way with that team wide open on that conference that give baby a chance for the Oilers. So Oilers in 6 and let's go with a super chat. Larry Lavalley. Super chat, reverse chop, chop, chop. He did it again, Larry Lavalley at the Hockey National Show. Thanks so much, Larry. I appreciate a lot. All you could appreciate you did all year long about that.
Couple things before we move off Edmonton, this series, Coach. Interesting thing. One thing that you should always take a look at in any series too is the coaching matchup. Right, this one's very unique. Right, you have two rookie coaches.
Good
That
point.
don't really have any experience. But I think the overall coaching staff for LA as a group, like, yes, Coffee has a lot of experience like in the playoffs, but not as a coach, right? Like, so and then LA they have what's his name there from Ottawa that's
DJ
that's
Smith.
behind the EJ Smith, yeah, that's back there now too, right? So a little bit more kind of well-rounded coaching staff. I'm not like I think people are talking about Knobloch for maybe being a candidate for the Jack Adams. Like, oh, like I don't know. I haven't seen. They didn't really do much, change in how they play. Like I think McDavid just started playing well again, and that's why they started winning, right? So I'm not a like. It's not that I don't think he's a good coach. I just don't. So we'll be curious to see how he handles himself in his first playoff series, Coach. Like it's a different animal, right? Like
Yeah, but
there's a lot of
Nagula has always been a winner. If you look about his resume on the WHL and American, he's always been
yeah.
a good coach about this. So I would say to you, more experience a little bit like I don't say that word. Like I feel like my maybe more like I have give a little bit advantage to KK versus Elier for the Los Angeles Kings. But that's a good point to talk about this for sure. For that first round, finally the last round of the of this
Ooh.
Western Conference, it's maybe everybody's looking for on that. That's the huge one. Two dominate team all year long. They have over 100 point, 110 and 109, I believe. The Jet and the Colorado Avalanche. One team dominate by the amazing, great performance of Nathan McKinnon. Could win the MVP in the NHL versus the best goaltender, or maybe one of the best goaltender in NHL, Vizina, this season, Connor Hellebuck. You have the offensive side of the game like Colorado, and you have the best team and the goal against winner of the Jennings Trophy, the Winnipeg Jet with Laurent Brossoit and Connor Hellebuck. So that's what you got. This is a matchup between both of them and both the team. I would love to hear a little bit more what your expectation and what you're looking for.
Yeah, like I think this series, Coach, and the Toronto Boston series are probably the two that I'm the most excited for in the first round. So first of all, I just want to mention that Entertap is a bit of a traitor because, I think even if you like the Jets, Entertap, you have to understand that the Jets have to lose so that the Habs draft pick is going to be in a better position, right? So you have to check your loyalty a little bit at the door, Mr. Entertap. But I understand it's a fun team to watch. But I'm just questioning your allegiance a little bit to your Habs credentials a little bit. But on to the series, coach. It's a bit surprising, right? When you look at the results for this year, with these teams, like Winnipeg just crushed the Avalanche this year, like not even close, right? 3-0 against the Avalanche, and they outscored them 17-4. Georgiev actually got pulled in two of those games, so you definitely have, if you're an Avs fan, you should be a little bit concerned about the goaltending, right? But again, like the Avalanche have, won the Stanley Cup before with decent goaltending, and at times like Georgiev can provide that. So listen, this for me, this is a total toss up. It's a really hard one because I think both teams have a lot of depth. I don't think I think in terms of elite talent, obviously the Avalanche have the edge there, but overall in depth, like I guess the Avalanche third line is probably not as impressive maybe as Winnipeg's, right? Like so if you're looking at the Avalanche's third line, you're looking at Colton, Wood, and Parise. Potentially you can move guys around, but their fourth line is really good though, right? They brought in Trennan and Duhaime. I really like those moves as well. But one thing I'm concerned about, is something wrong with Lowry? Like, did he not play towards the end of the season? Like, is there any injuries for Winnipeg that we should be aware of?
Which one?
Did he Lowry?
I don't think so.
Did he?
I think they remove a couple of players for the last game, but I
Okay.
see him
Okay.
play the game before that. No.
Okay. So, if Lowry's playing, then again, like that third line for Winnipeg has been a really, really, a really good kind of story for them all year. So, coach, this is a really tough one. Like, overall, I'm going to side with the more elite talent and just the sheer will that is, that is McKinnon for this one. But I think it's going to be a really tight series. So I'm going to say Colorado in 7. But again, when you're picking 7, it means that you're not sure. Like this could really go either way, and it's going to be a really fun series. Some of the things to look for to me is the Avalanche power play. Like Winnipeg is going to have to kind of stay out of the box. Specialty teams are going to be critical for this kind of play, and really it's going to be the ability of kind of some of those depth players being able to kind of make the difference, right? Because often what you see in these kinds of series is that the top lines kind of can't cancel each other out. And again, experience, coach, like the Avalanche, they just have more experience. They've done it before, so I think there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of value for teams that kind of have been there before and done it. And you have to give a little bit of an edge. Do we have a breakdown for them, coach? Do we have the breakdown of their
No.
no? Okay.
No.
Yeah, would you give an edge to the Avalanche's decor over Winnipeg? Like just
Um,
the decor?
At the traded line, I would say no, but send the traded line. I think they add the player to go too far in the playoff. I'm talking about Trenin, talking about they have got Rose Colton at the beginning of the season with Woods over there.
Yeah.
I know they had Zachary Parise, but they bring some muscle at the bottom six over there, and I think that will help the depth of the Colorado Avalanche this year. Um, this will be bad, but I have only one concern about Colorado is the goaltender. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whatever you have, like win the most W in the game as a goaltender, one of the top. His save percentage is really low. He struggled the last couple of weeks, and I know Colorado did not finish strong, but the trade with Cassie Medestad also is a good key matchup helping the Colorado Avalanche. And then Sean Walker, I think
Sean Walker,
Nate's going to be forget a lot but he's going to step up in that series. I think Walker could play a really big minute for the Colorado Avalanche if they have to go there. This series is going to go all the way to the 7, in my opinion. That series is going to hurt the winner of this game. And I don't know. I maybe I'm wrong here, but I see the Edmonton Oilers going to beat Los Angeles Kings. And I see something's going to be hurt, like Colorado. And then Edmonton after that are going to get maybe Nashville or Vancouver, where I feel like there will be a good run for them. And then they maybe add now after that the Dallas to the Colorado Avalanche, but that will stop the Colorado after that at the second round, I believe, because they're going to get hurt at the Winnipeg Jets. So if you
Yeah,
follow
these
what I
first
just
round
said, Colorado is going to win in 7 on that series against the Winnipeg Jets. And the reason behind that is honestly the pick for the Montreal Canadiens play another, like the Florida Panthers last year. Every series I
yeah,
put against the Florida Panthers, whatever I knew was wrong. But this is
yeah,
the same thing with the Winnipeg Jets. But this is a playoff. Maybe this is the best matchup playoff, and that 2024, in my opinion, round number 1.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to argue. Talking about this series and some good points in the chat here about Hellebuck. I don't have the figures in front of me. I'd be curious to see if anybody can give them to us in the chat or if you have them up, Coach. But I wonder what Hellebuck's record is in the playoffs and what his save percentage is. Because if memory serves me correctly, he hasn't really shown super well in the playoffs. And if he doesn't again this year, you know, does that start to become a thing that taints his legacy a little bit, right? Because Hellebuck is arguably, one of the more consistent goaltenders in the NHL over the last 4 or 5 years. You could say been in the top 3, a perennial kind of contender for, for winning best goaltender of the year, right? So, if he's not able to kind of really get his team to the next step here, do voices start to kind of talk a little bit about Hellebuck, and is he a big game goaltender? So a lot of pressure, right, on Hellebuck in particular. So that will be interesting to watch as well, because I think a lot of Winnipeg fans and probably a lot of people around the league I think they're going to agree with us. This should be a very close series. They're going to challenge a very good Colorado team, and Winnipeg should have the edge in net, but he needs to show. He needs to do that. And Hellebuck is an intense guy, but sometimes, like if you look at Carey Price, right? Like what made Carey Price such a good big game goaltender is his ability to be calm and his ability to kind of forget the last goal and all those things, right? Hellebuck is a very intense guy. Sometimes he might run a little bit too hot. Those are not usually traits that do super well in the playoffs. You want that in other roles, like you want the intensity for other roles, but for your goaltender, you just want somebody stable that's going to forget the last goal and just kind of keep you in the game, right? So lots on the line for Mr. Hellebuck, I think. I don't know if I'm overstating it, but it will be interesting.
3-4 goal Jeff with 2.60 as save percentage on 914. Only 2 years in the playoff. The first year was the Rangers as a backup. It was 0-2, 0-1, but they have only a good 935. So again, for me, Colorado lose, they're going to look at the goaltender. If they win, it's going to look about McKinnon. That's simple. For the Winnipeg Jet, look, this is the best team on the goal again this year, and they don't give a lot of goal, like 2 3 per game. That's the max. Again, a machine like Colorado, but Colorado is going to be, if they win, only not making it, but the support at the bottom 6 will be interesting about it. This is a great matchup. You can put every cone on the ice. It's always going to be like this all night long, and it will be interesting. Khaled Hashem is in the house. Chris is in the house. Welcome back, Chris. Fixer knocked the door. Don't forget, guys, click on the like if you don't mind. That'd be great. And that's why, guys, we got so far on the playoff matchup. So your final is going to be what again, Marco?
I have Avalanche in 7 for this one.
So like me too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What do you
Yeah,
think of the coaching matchup on this one, Coach? Like, so you've got Bednar versus Bowman. Like obviously, other than just kind of the rosters and kind of how they match up, like what about the way that they play? You know, Winnipeg, as we know, okay, so they're a little bit more low event than Colorado, right? But are they going to be able to to kind of dictate that style? You think against Colorado with the weapons that they have?
yeah. I look about is Rick Barnes
Yeah,
career. He has 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right, and he never he went on the playoff. Only one. He went to the playoff at the Western Conference with the Dallas Star,
yeah.
and then after that, on all his year, he's been to one, two, three, four, five participation of all those years he did in NHL. So we talk about Dino Zeras, right? Barnes been a coach in 1980 in
Yeah.
NHL, and then but again, Bettner been there, so it's pretty even about that. It's going to be the offensive speed of the game versus the forechecking in the game. This is what I feel for the matchup between Winnipeg and them.
What about Shifley? Like Shifley is not like, again, you can't really compare Shifley and McKinnon, in terms of just their status and their production, right? But again, like to me, there's a lot of players on Winnipeg that haven't shown well in the playoffs, right? Nikolai's Ehlers is not really somebody that's shown well in the playoffs in the past. O'Connor is not somebody that's really done super well in the playoffs in the past. Mark Scheifele, we saw what happened against Montreal. I think we all remember that pretty well, right? So some of the key top performers for Winnipeg don't have that same track record, and there's a little bit of pressure. It's hard to kind of forget that, and you don't have that experience and that success to lean on. Not at all like you do when you're Colorado, right? And you have players that have been so clutch, like even depth players like Lehkonen, and that are just so clutch and have that track record. So it'll be an interesting kind of opportunity for the really key players on the Jets to kind of make a name for themselves as true winners and true players that can perform in the playoffs. Because if you look at their track record, it's not there yet.
So, and Artab said in the chat, he cheer for Monahan at 240.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Right? Me,
Like
I
I love
cheer
those
for Lehkonen and Drouin.
guys. Easy. There you go. That balances out pretty fairly. It's going to be a great series for Habs fans to watch. There's no question about that for sure. And we'll watch for Monahan here, right? Because there's an outside chance that Montreal might be interested in bringing him back. So we'll have an interesting. It's been a while since Monahan's played in the playoffs as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, Coach. I have to stay up late for this one though on the East Coast.
Yep. For everybody, guys, tonight we're going to, back the clock of the 1984. We're going to see the game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques. Some clips about the game and want to know what you at, what did you watch the game, everything like that. So stay tuned. It's going to be after the next subject because the last, the subject we have with you guys is the trophy of the NHL. Last night we did the Norris, we did the MVP, and then I think we did the Norris MVP, and I missed someone. Oh, the coach, the Jack Adams. So we keep three more for Marko tonight. The first one, guys, is the Calder Trophy. Connor Bedard, Luke Hughes, and Brock Faber. Battle that hurt during the season. Luke Hughes, they finished pretty good. I think we don't give enough credit because Brock Faber are maybe the best rookie defenseman overall. But this is the three players. I did not know if, I didn't look deeper, but that's maybe the best three name I can come up with that.
Yeah, these are these are probably the three names that you're going to see, Coach. Sometimes you have like a rookie goaltender that gets in there, but I don't think we see that this year. Even despite his injury, I think this is Bedard's award to lose for sure. I think let's not spend too much time on this one. This one's kind of a slam dunk. I think everybody knows it's going to be Bedard. It was his to lose all year, and even though he was hurt, like I think he still showed enough to win it for this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely that one. He dominate all year long of when he play, and you can see this is going to be another McDavid players in NHL. No doubt in my mind. Once Chicago's going to patch up a couple of holes they have, that team could be very good because of better. That's not
Once Patrick Kane signs back with Chicago next year, then it should be pretty good.
exactly. Fixer in the house. Welcome back, Fixer. He said, Lane Hudson.
Yeah.
How about
Maybe
that?
next year.
Next one, guys, is the Selkie. Here we go. The Selkie, Mr. Marko. Barkov, O'Reilly, Ao, Robin Hands, maybe. You can add a couple more players around the league. But I give you three different things. What O'Reilly? Because I believe he does not get enough credit for what he accomplished with the Nashville Predator on the both sides of the game. Not he plays under number one, but still can run a lot of offensive with Forsberg and Nickwish. And then you have Sebastian Aho. I believe this is a copycat of Barkov. And this is going to be, without Patrice Bergeron. And then you can mention maybe Charlie Coy with the Boston, Lane Holm been before that. And maybe, G.D. Miller. But at the end of the day, this three name I came with. So if you have any other nomination you can mention, you're welcome to talk about. Maybe it's Philip Dano, but I don't think he's still there.
No.
Kopitar, So
Yeah.
I look around Barzell, Matthews, and I don't know.
Yeah. So like I think at the beginning of the year, some people were even putting like Peterson, Elias Peterson in this kind of conversation, but I think his play kind of dipped a little bit in that regard later on. And people in the chat put Matthews with a smiley face. Like Matthews is a good defensive player, guys. Like, maybe, I don't know if he'll ever win a Selke trophy, but he is like, a really elite two-way center in the NHL, right? It's even just because he scored 69 goals in the NHL doesn't mean that he's not a good defensive player, but I don't think he'll be in the top three this year. I really like O'Reilly for sure, for all the reasons you just mentioned. He's a previous winner, and to me, that whole line really carried Nashville this year, and he's critical. I didn't have an opportunity to look at all the stats. I don't know kind of what their plus minuses are and everything else, right? But just like a overall impression of the impact that they had on their team and the type of game they play. Both Barkov and O'Reilly, like their reputations precede them, right? Like they are kind of always in consideration every year because of their reputation and how they play. So for me, it could go either way, Barkov or O'Reilly. I think these are all good candidates. I just don't have the stats. I didn't look into it as to really kind of break it down. But I think for me, it would be between Barkov and O'Reilly.
Yeah. This is I think Barkov could have it before. Just Bergeron was just over him every year, a little bit like the Langstrom Trophy, 7 defenseman time for the Norris. I think that one Barkov is really the one over anybody else in NHL. That will be the winner of the Selke Trophy. A lot of people talk about Sven. Some people talk about Ao.
It would be nice to eventually see, it seems like it's a little bit biased towards center iceman all the time. It's been a long time since a winger's won, the Selke Trophy. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was probably Jere Lehtinen from the Dallas Stars that won, the Selke Trophy. I think Mark Stone's been nominated a couple times. I don't think Stone, was in that category this year. But overall, like when it comes to this award, like I think it would be nice to kind of expand it a little bit more. And, it's similar to the same debate that you have about the Hart Trophy, Coach. Like, is it really just the person who wins the Art Ross, or is it really the person that's the most valuable to their team, right? With the Selke Trophy, is it really for the best defensive player, then that would open it up to a lot of different players, right? But because there's always this expectation that there needs to be a minimal, amount of offense in their game as well to qualify for the Selke Trophy. If you're going to have the Selke Trophy be the player or the award for the best two-way player in the game, okay, but then there should be also an award for the best defensive forward in the game because that's a different role, right? These to me, Barkov, O'Reilly, Aho, these are two-way, centers that are going to bring a lot of offense. But it would be nice to have like a true defensive center role, like a Deno or like somebody was mentioning Lowry in Winnipeg. Those are really important players on rosters, and it'd be nice if we had an award. You know, I don't want to sound woke, like everybody gets an award, right? But these are really important players and really important roles that they play on a team for sure.
Who was the last one you said the winger win it?
Yuri Lettinen, I think, is probably I think that I remember is the last one.
Yeah, is the last one. He did 3 times.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and yeah, great defensive player. But to me, like Mark Stone, it's hard. It's hard, right? Like you're in that Bergeron era where he won, every year for like 6 years in a row or something like that. So it's kind of hard to eclipse a guy like that. But I just think it's a bit biased towards centermen, and I think wingers can have just as much impact, on the game defensively than a center can.
and before that was Dirk Graham.
Wow, Dirk Graham. Wow, he had
Yep.
a really nice stash. He kind of looks like Rick Middleton. Remember Rick Middleton? I always confuse those two guys. They kind of look the same.
Yep. And the winger after that, you have to go all the way to Greg Ramsey, and then Bob Gainey did it the first 4 seasons and NHL, following by Steve Casper and Bob Clark are the winner of that trophy. So it's good. It's good to see that. Well
Hmm.
done about that trophy. A lot of people talk about it. Backlund could be there, Randy, for that. Not a bad choice for that. If you know the last one, guys, is the Vizina Trophy. Halibut,
This
Damko,
is
Bobrovsky dominate on the goal against average. I know what they did. I apologize. Biuk, I put it, but it's okay. Damko and Bobrovsky. I think we don't give enough credit for Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky have a good year for the Florida Panthers. He struggled about 2-3 weeks. A couple, everybody struggled, but this is the best three goaltender. I don't know if you are other goaltender. Talk about Ulmax, women, but at the end, that's where they are.
yeah. My feeling is that this is Hellebuck's year for the Vezina, but to me, I it's hard to not talk about the Vezina this year and not mention Charlie Lindgren. You know, if he was on a better team coach, like his performances this year were unreal. Like I think he's almost wholeheartedly the reason that Washington's even in the playoffs. If you compare his season to what Jose Theodore did to get Montreal in the playoffs that one year, it's to me it's almost as impressive of a performance. Because if you look at Washington's goal differential, and if you just look at them on paper, there's a lot of nights. And I watched a decent amount of Washington games this year, Coach. So bit of a robbery for unfortunately for I don't think he'll get even considered for it, but I think he should. Charlie Lindgren should be on this list. I think Demko being injured probably takes him a little bit out, and Bobrovsky, I think, yeah, like he's right there, but I think it's all Hellebuck this year. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
You
Um,
think it hurts Demko that he missed that time though?
you know what? If you look about Lindgren, right? Here's the problem he got: his inconsistency. You're going to laugh at me, but I will give you an example. I will say to you, you have 3-4 good game, right? And then he got 7 goals. 4 is the limit. He got one there after he got 6 good start. Then after that, another 4 after 4, 8 after that for 2 start. Then after that, a 3 with 4. Then 3 with 5. Then 6. And then you have to go with that 7, 8, 9 start with. After that, he got 4. Then he got 5. Then he got 4 again. So it's like if it's not hot, He's really bad. Like if he's not in his game, he's not there. So this is a
I
type
think
the
yeah.
goaltender he is Charlie Lindgren, but I don't want to go negative. The stat
No,
of
no, no. But
is two
I
sixty
think it's
seven,
more.
but point nine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say to you for all he start maybe he start I would say to you 50 game. Yeah, maybe game start play 50, but he get removed. He got there 3 times, so 2 times. So you have maybe like 48. I would say to you, you have like maybe 7, 8 start really bad, like really, really bad. So he's
Yeah.
when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad.
Yeah. And, but, I think the team has something to do with that too, right? Like, I don't think any team loses 7 or 8, whatever, if the team is not playing a shit game that game either. But point taken. But I wanted to find an opportunity somewhere to mention Charlie Lindgren because he's had a really exceptional year for sure.
Yeah, definitely about that one over there. Randy asked coach, look at who lead the NHL winning percentage as a goalie. Are you talking about a particular goaltender or are you talking about the team contender? That would be the one I
Mm.
was looking about that one. For that one, the only problem when you look about guys, um, when the stat in NHL, they gave one game and then he put the name at the top, right? They have no not cut very badly anyway. So that's what we got, guys. About this. Other conversation go. It's good conversation in the chat because some people think about other goaltender. And that's pretty good. The Dallas Star. I think you said Dallas Star. Um, he have an average of 2.72 or danger a 905. And guys, when you
Yeah.
have and this year, guys, when you are over 910 910, it's pretty good. You above this year. That's what they are. The same percentage drop year after year for the last 2 seasons in NHL. So you talk
Yeah.
about um, on the most game play in NHL so far. Anderson play only 16 games at 932. You have to go with 23 game Bronze Sweat at 927. Stolar, great year, Stolar, guys. At 27 game, he has 925. He have the best goal again average with over 25 game in NHL. And you have to go all the way to Alibak at 921, followed by Demko at 918 on that one. Varlamov is at 918 also. So
And
that's
where
a
was
good
Monty?
tender.
Where did Monty finish, coach, this year?
Sorry?
Where did Monty finish? 907, I think.
No, man, 903 or 0. He's really not good on the Montembeau on that one. Primo have a better one. Primo was a 911, I believe. Montembeau is a 903. There we go.
There you go.
903.
Average. Average.
Yeah, yeah. And before that, 910 was the average in NHL before
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah. Agree.
about that. So anyway, guys, we're going to hit the 923. Then we're going to finish the show. Look, April 20, 1984, 40 years ago, guys. It was the Friday good. You call it, what do you call it again? The good
Vendredi Saint, le massacre du Vendredi Saint, the
Massacre du Vendredi
massacre.
Saint in French
Yeah,
about
the
that
Friday
game.
massacre.
And a lot of people remember, some does not remember. So what I did, guys, I look around and I have about 25 clips. Every clip is 15 seconds, 12 seconds, because the NHL could copyright me on that one. They don't give me a strike, but they complicated everything. So I tried to cut the clip. And some clip is about particular players. Some's about the equipment. Some's about the rat Ken Linsman, but it was Dale Hunter. And you're going to see it's fun players like Guy Lafleur on the ice, everybody else, the glass. I tried to get the usher behind the bench. I cannot get the usher, obviously, but I do my best about this. So let's see what
Wow.
we got here, guys. And at the end, I'm going to give you some stat at the end of the game. about this game. But again, in the chat, you can some kind of conversation. Did you remember? Did you watch the game or you see the game later? You are too young, too old. Whatever it is, your comments about this game. This is one of, I'll be honest with you, there was my the middle of my 20s. It was my the biggest rivalities before that. It was the Boston Bruins, but this one was the biggest one. You go to work or you go to school during the day, and you don't think about anything. You just thinking about the game the night. It was and by the DNA. This is was what you're looking for, and many
So,
playoff.
coach,
You can remember
are you trying
having
to?
the goal or the Kerry Fraser code call by the end of the day. This is one really happening in the April 20, 1984. Let's go, Marco. You said again?
I was just going to say, coach, are you trying to torture, Nordiques fans, showing this stuff like right after a team got moved, from Arizona to Utah instead of Quebec? Like, I find the timing of this a little suspicious. But no, this is great memories. I don't personally remember this game as 1984. I think I was listening to kind of like Quiet Riot and like listening to the Police, or whatever, and watching much music and stuff, more so than watching hockey, playing outside. But I've heard a lot of stories about this. I haven't seen a lot of clips, so I'm excited that you put together some
I
clips for
put a
us to.
couple of clips. Yeah, you can have like all the fight before that, like at the beginning, you can have a fight at the brawl all night long. But I tried to get the reason behind that, a moment of the fight, and so I have this one. The point does not change. When I once said to you guys, the handling of Marois, eliminate the guy behind the net. Same thing in 1980s we see in 2024. Same way. You get the cut, you cut the hand of the guy, you pick up the puck. This is guys, you take hockey at the youth travel, and you can get a clip in 1984. A great forechecking, by the way, for Montreal Canadiens on that one. A pinch by Chris Chelios on that one.
Yeah.
And again, this is a hockey on that on this for that. Here we go. The first one of Dale Hunter. He's really involved with everything. Dale Hunter in the back of that one. No fight on that one. But I just want to show what Hunter was doing for the Quebec Nordiques all the time.
Yeah.
He played with them before he moved with the.
So
This
are you
one,
saying
guys.
that's kind of what started it?
This
That's
guy,
kind of what
guys.
started everything.
Yeah, this guy is about the how we call the penalties today versus 40 years ago. Check the face-up, Marco. The center of the Quebec Nordiques again. I think it was Shabbat. This guy is it's holding right away there. This is the call you're going to get in NHL.
Is D'Amico at fault here? Because he kind of restrains. Like, do you think D'Amico handled this well enough? Because did he kind of like make Hamel not able to kind of like protect himself very well? Like everybody's just assuming. Again, I'm a Habs fan, right? I wasn't really watching at this time, but do you think that D'Amico kind of had a bit of something to say in this play? Like, did he manage the situation well?
I think for me, it's like, you have a two linesmen and you have a 40 player on the ice to go all around. And then the only thing we don't know is what D'Amico could said something to Slager. But at the end of the day, it's Jean Hamel. I know you're not going to like it, but Jean Hamel should be a little bit more caution about when you fight, everything could happen. He did not protect himself. He's really open up about this. He was not expect that. That's not make an excuse. So they have no reason to do it. It looked like right there, Marco, it looked like it's almost over. They have no push from left and right. Slater should stop right there. Mario Tremblay want to stop everything there with Jean Hamel. And but obviously, right there. See, that left jab of Slater surprised everybody. You see D'Amico, he cannot do the block.
I wanted to see it again closer.
Yeah,
I wanted to just see it again closer there. But yeah, like that's just a sucker punch, man. There's no question about that.
Yeah, so we have to go midfield. We did that one there, and then Larry Robinson opened the door. Steve Penny at a Dominic Hachek slide or at the Cesar Maniego, and he gave that goal. And then it was the return of the Montreal Canadiens, les démons, the fantômes, the ghosts at the Forum step up at that moment. This is guys keep us all the clip I have for this game between both teams. But first of all, I want to give you a bit more the roster of the Quebec. Weir, McKinney, Savard, Slater, Sauvé, Mugoulet, Sachny, Côté, Sachny. Then you have Pema, Del Hunter as a forward. And then defenseman, Lapointe, Price. And then you have Muller, Marois, André Doré. And you can see the name of the player. The player are not always perfect. It was not Tim Wesley, it was Glenn Wesley. But again, see the stat, guys. They have, the minus plus, the shot, and then you have a TOI. You have no TOI on that moment. The goaltender guy was Maléchak, Gosselin, and Dan Bouchard. For the Montreal Canadiens, we got Mondu, Lafleur, Walter, Tremblay, Smith, Hunter, Carbonneau, Schott, Gainé, Nasloun, Chabot, Nyland, and McPhee. For the Montreal Canadiens, 32-minute penalty for Chris Nyland.
Jesus.
On that one. Rick Green, Ludwig, Robinson, Chelios, and Jean Hamel. Go to the Rick Wemsley and Richard Sevigny and C. Penny on that one. And then final score.
Couple questions.
I'm sorry?
I have a couple questions. So a couple questions about that roster, though, just so I can kind of fill in the blanks. But because I always thought McPhee and Scrudlin started at the same time, right? But so how many years before Scrudlin did McPhee come in? Do you remember? I thought they came in
after that.
Yeah. But was McPhee there for that much longer before Scrudlin? He must have been pretty young.
They win the Stanley Cup together.
Yeah, in 86.
96.
But so this is in 84. So I thought that, because remember, there was all those rookies that came in 86, right? You had Richer, Scrudlin, Lemieux that all came in. Yeah. I knew McPhee was maybe 1 year older, but so I'm just surprised to see that he was there almost 2 years before. And another question I have is for Steve Shutt.
The year after that, Marco.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he started at 85, 86.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, because I remember Scrudlin, Richer, and Lemieux were all rookies, right? They won the Calder Cup in Sherbrooke the year before they won the Cup in Montreal. But the question I have is about Steve Shutt. How many more seasons did he play after this season? And I think I remember, I think I have seen that clip of him scoring that goal. And I think he had a rough season that year, right? Like he had kind of some struggles, and this is kind of the first time he had scored in a while, I think, Steve Shutt.
That year, you have 23, you have only 14 goals and 83, 84 on that one. And then you have 18 goals, but he got traded after that, and the year after that to the Los Angeles Kings. He played only 59 games. He got retired after the season.
I never knew that he got traded. I never knew that he got traded to Los Angeles. So was this the first round of the playoffs in 84, 85?
He was the first round of the playoff.
Cool.
On that one.
That's too bad I missed this one. The first year that I started watching was 85, 86. So that's really what I remember. And it was a good year to start watching, right? But yeah, this game was nuts, Coach. Like, I also remember Robinson having way thicker sideburns and longer hair. He looks like very clean cut there.
It's funny. Look, think about this. And number 19, 85, during the summer, he was waived by the Montreal Canadiens and the Kings get him.
Oh. Yeah, I thought he finished his career with Montreal. I didn't know that he played games with another team.
Yep. So that's happening about him. And then I want to finish with this is the set in 1984, guys. that's all. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. You have no body check, no take away, give away. And that's all. Face-off was 0. Power play was 0. And minute penalty. That's what my point important, guys. 134 minutes and 118. To 118, guys, in Montreal is about an average about 15 games per season. Now, to get that kind of number of the penalty. Finally, this is a box score of this game, guys. I know it's a bit small, but Peter Stachny, Michel Goulet, and Will Payment scored for Quebec, and Guy Carbonneau scored the last goal of Montreal Canadiens. Walter got an assist on this one. You can see by the number of the stat, Marco, this was game number 6. This was the first round, first goal, second goal. Mondu 1 assist. So National, National have a really good series against the Quebec Nordiques on that one. So again, we just want to give back, a little bit information about that series 40 years ago. And older, like Marco is younger to us, but some people in the chat, like Roy, we have NRTAP at the end, we have Danny pop up at some point, Luc Lafortune, those people, most of them see those games on that one. I don't think so. Willie did it. RJ,
Coach, I have a question.
A2
I have a
did it.
question for you.
Yep.
I have a question for you. So, from somebody who's just like one, half a generation before you guys, if there's one game in the 70s that you would recommend for somebody who didn't see the Habs in the 70s, there's one game that you recommend that they go try to find on YouTube, would it be this one or would it be another one? Like there's the New Year's Eve game against, the Soviets, so if you had to pick one game to show somebody who grew up, in the 90s or whatever that didn't see that era, which game would you recommend?
I don't have to want to give you one game. There are too many games to give you, but I will go by selection. First of all, 1970s, Henri Richard, 2 goals in overtime against the Chicago Blackhawks, tied the game. What if Chicago was the favorite team to win the Stanley Cup, and the Montreal Canadiens came back to win that series and win the Stanley Cup. So Henri Richard performance, this is last year with the Montreal Canadiens, so it's something you have to follow up about this. You can see the beginning of Guy Lafleur and Jean Béliveau. I don't think so. Jean Béliveau played on that series. Anyhow, this is a game I was looking for. Chicago, final score 3-2 overtime. Henri Richard. You can look about this. Final one about this, I will say to you, the series, again, the Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens to stop the Flyers to win the Stanley Cup. I believe this is the first one of the Montreal Canadiens. So is it 1975, I believe? This is the one I will say to you. Why? Because this really, you can see a Flyers dominate by the physicality, the size, everything like that. And the fearless of the Montreal Canadiens with Serge Savard, everybody, and that team. And that would be
Is that the one where Robinson? Is that the one where Robinson broke the glass almost and hit one of the Flyers guys? And it kind of, I remember reading that. I think in Ken Dryden's.
I think that's Robinson. But for me, it's like Savard against Dave Shaw's example. This was what I would say to you. That was really the one that turn around everything Montreal Canadiens. And after that, the game against the Army. This was the classic in the NHL Montreal Canadiens for sure, 3-3. And then after that, every after that, the season, the 8th loss, I believe, is the 62-8 or something for the Montreal Canadiens. That year, not particular season, but for me, this, I'm not have a specific one in particular that came on my mind, but this is what I'm remember the most on my 70s for the Montreal Canadiens. So great question for that. And maybe awesome. Some of you look at talk about 1976 about that. I just all the team was the 77 team Abination. Sabal beat Dave Shows. You see those people comments about this. Thank for all the likes. Joseph is in the house. Robinson hit Dorhofer. Joseph.
Dorhofer, yeah, that's
there we go.
That's well said. Yeah, I've seen that.
Joseph about this. Right, talk about the Richie Leach won this kind of smart. I think he have the record of most goal about this. Dryden versus Tretiak and AK title. And this is a good thing to do sometimes during the off summer, guys, talking about the whole days hockey and 70s or 80s and what you remember the most for people. And everybody grow on front decade, right? 60s, 70s. Larry Lavallée would talk about player I never see. And then you can go all the way to 70s, 80s, and you born there, you're watching the 90s, and then, you had the Detroit Islanders, and Michael Bossy, and the Denis Potvin Islanders, the Oilers with the Wayne Gretzky, Yair Coury, and then you have the Colorado Avalanche, you have the Detroit Red Wings, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Mario Lemieux, Yager, and everybody have their kind of all the way to 2024. And
yeah.
I think that's a good one for everybody in the chat. Great comments for everyone. I think that's to do that. So
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But
yeah, I think that would be a good show. Like I think two things I want to do this summer is one for the Quebec Nordiques, whatever we don't like, I think it's in the past, right? For me, I don't, it's not a big deal anymore. So I would love to do a show about the story about the Quebec Nordiques, who they remember the most, everything like that, and then the Montreal Canadiens, the Montreal Expos. I think we have enough people can remember the Montreal Expos and and 69 to all the way to when they left when they left for the NLB for sure. So
yeah,
what
I
do
would
you
love to
think?
do a.
Last game
I
in
would
our
love to
time.
do. We should do a series. We should do a series on like because for me it's more the 92, 93, like the Cup year where they beat Quebec in the first round. I would love to do a deep dive. We could do like
Yeah,
an analysis of each game this
yeah,
summer. That would be a lot of fun if we could
yeah.
find the footage, and that would be.
What
I
you
don't know
can
if we'd
do
be
those
allowed
series,
to.
you can go by series, right? The first series
Yeah,
at third, everything like and then it can go like this, and then you join somebody can go a specific year with the Montreal Canadiens. I think the 2010, I believe, with Alak and Carey Price with 20, is it 11, 10? I think it's 10. When they
yeah,
beat Pittsburgh, Washington, and then they lost after that again the Flyers, where the brawl before the game and who put the puck in the net before at the end to leave the ice and the Claude Lemieux and Ron Extall and I can go all the way like that. So you know I think
yeah.
that would be again about this.
Um,
Danny said the best team hot dog about this. I said if Patrick was here, he would tell us the cost of the hot dog in 1984, but he's not here
mm,
tonight, so he cannot tell us what happening. I grew up in the park, so I'm at the expos at the Bergerie about this. Do you remember Marco the Montreal expos? Like, do you have any memories about them or something specific?
yeah. For the Expos, like I'm not gonna lie, I was more of a Blue Jays fan growing up, just because they were a little bit more successful than the Expos. Like, so to me, unfortunately, the best memory I have of the Expos, the only time I got into them was the year where they ended up canceling the season, like the same year that Montreal was. I think it was '93, right, where the Expos had a really good team, and then there was a strike, and then they were unfortunately more of like a farm system for other teams, right? Like they would just kind of develop really good young players and kind of move them out, right? So I don't I don't remember too much of the '80s, like with Gary Carter and Dawson and all those guys. Like I don't I remember seeing it in the background on TV, but it's just kind of foggy. So I remember more the '90s. All the good players that they had then, and but it was just so hard to get attached to them, right? With at least with the Blue Jays, there was consistency. They had winning teams. They had the money to keep the players, so it was a bit. But I love the uniforms, but it was just hard to get into the Expos because they didn't win and they didn't keep their players.
Yeah, it's for me it's like people for me it's like I work a couple of years with them, so I know more about not the
Mhm.
dynasty, but the how you go up. You show up at 2 o'clock afternoon, 3 o'clock afternoon, the meetings and Roger Brulat, Richard Morancy. um it's like for me, it's like all the meeting with the guy play piano over there, Fernand Lapierre, and I can go all the way like this on the behind the scenes, right? The tunnel you go to park your car with your your Volkswagen, and then you have BMW. Your car is, my car is 6,000, and this like with that 100,000, 50,000. It was
Wow.
funny. They was said this is a car that you pee.
And you were a mascot for the Expos and for the Canadians, right? That's why you
No,
have
not for the
kind of.
Canadian, only for the Montreal
Oh, okay.
Expo. Yeah,
Oh, so you did
never for the
UP, but it was when
never
it was with
have
the
one.
Expos.
Yeah, only
Okay,
the
okay.
Expos. And then when I left, they sent me back in the minor. I went to the Vermont Expos after that. Not good enough
What?
to
Who?
stay in the Major League Baseball. I hate it. Honestly, guys, I hate it. I hate the games. I love the caravan, you invite left and right because they treat you like a queen, like a king. But the game after you did one season, everything like that is getting boring. It's a job, right? And then you have to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
there. It's like 12,000 people. We have 40,000 people. Great, but then you make mistake, you complaining left and right. You have someone not happy about something like the radio and all crappy that stuff. Like it was experience wise was good, but
Yeah, sometimes you get the job that you like. I remember, like, many people here won't remember that we used to have record stores, like where you actually went in to buy music in a store, but you always thought, like, looking, it would be amazing to work in a record store. It'd be so fun because I love music. But then you get a job in the record store and you learn that really all you're doing is you're taking things out of boxes and organizing them, and it's really, really, really boring. So
yeah.
sometimes a job looks funner than it actually is.
But any job will serve you guys. And one, I don't think it's negative. Any job you have, some stuff you don't like it, some job you love it, right? When I was on
Yeah.
this on the dugout or whatever it is, screaming left and right was good. But the the go take a picture with the CIO at the top of the one, you have to be on the left field, then you go on the right field. You have a lot of stuff behind you don't know, and on the all the mascot work in and the MLB. The only one worked 9 inning. It was the the Montreal Expos. No one
Wow.
Fanatic with the Flowers with the Phillies. He will work 5 inning. Like he would do all the sketch. That's all. He will do not promote everything like that. Like his name is Raymond, and he would tell me all the time, "Oh, I only work 5 inning. That's it. That's all." And I was like, I have to be there 90 minutes before the game start at the gate, and then I have to finish after the game. You have some things going on, and then sometimes I have the promotion after the game, like Dennis Martinez with the Nika Gawarga flag and the downtown, and they have to go there to finish your day. So that's the bad thing behind that. But it's still at the end of the day, they're complaining.
Do you think that Gritty has a better contract than what you had when you were UP? Probably
Um,
Gritty has a better contract.
yeah, for me, the contract is not to, for the time I did it. You have a lot of things come with. So you get a lot of gift at the end of they give you a number of salary, but when you go to, I would say, I go to reminisce example, but everything is paid. They will give you more money. They will give you tips left and right. So I said the caravan for me was good. Know the player and the boss. Darren Fletcher and Chris Power and everything, and the boss was funny to hear from them. And the boss, but Roger Brillat, and then Roger Brillat, it was special. It was like black and
Seems
white.
like a nice
Like,
guy.
yeah, but he could be, here's the, I don't say that, one of the most flirting guy at 5'3" in the world, I would say, is Roger Brillat.
Wow.
Like, you
Like
have
with
to
you
watch,
or
don't watch the cake, watch the legs.
sorry, flirting with you or flirting with girls?
No, with all the women. Like,
Okay. Okay.
every stop we did, you have someone on the table.
Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Roger, the player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Entertap is asking how much you used to get paid to be UP.
How much did I pay for the UUP? At that
Yeah.
year, it was approximately 35,000 to 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow. That's not bad at all, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the 80s? In the 80s?
And no, it was the beginning of the 90s.
Shit, man. That's 35 grand, and like that's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah. It's
nice.
about like almost like that, but a lot of works. I mean, like there's a lot of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not only wear the suit, right? It's like a lot
No,
of
no,
things
no,
come with the
no.
suit.
I'm
About
sure.
that,
A lot
yes.
of deodorant too. A lot of deodorant, and I'm sure it gets really hot in that thing.
Yeah. So
Sure.
that's conclude the show, Mr. Marco. We did through the show tonight of the Western Conference. Great job, both of you guys. I think you guys on the chat, the regular people, they know who they are, but people on you maybe not. Marco and Arta bring a lot on the table for the Hockey Channel. for sure. Sandy join me every time they can. They again delivery for the playoff. On this, guys, have an amazing, great NHL Playoff 2024. If you want to join the challenge bracket, it's good until Monday. We'll go to program this during the weekend. Which team you follow, Coach? Like I said, I follow everyone this year. The only thing I would promise you one thing. I don't take day off. I'll go all the way if I can to do it. I will do it my best I can to do all the game for that, and I will definitely come back. We want to thank all the moderators tonight, Ron, Luciano, and after that, Danny Pop-Up also. And then Ozzy Calabo at the score update. And all the people click on the like, super chat, Larry Lavallee, and our co-host of the night, Mr. Marko Larabie. But before we leave, we want to tell everybody, because that's who you are.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
Here we go. That's conclude another Hockey Nation show tonight. And we want also to remember we'll be back for the game number 1 at the playoff tomorrow night, Toronto versus Boston Bruins. Until then, be well, be held. Find a way not only dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the first half. Or what, Marco?
Les séries éliminatoires de 2024, your playoff.
Here we go. French English to conclude the show, everybody. Have an amazing, great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Can't wait to you until the next time. The Hockey Nation, I should have Nation when we want to tell you one more thing, everybody. We love you, people. Have an amazing, great night, Marco, everybody. I will see you next time. Good night.
Good night, Coach. Great job tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Good night. Nicolas, good night. Luc Laperson, Willie Snyder, AK. Rain, have a good night. Good luck with your Boston Bruins. Good night, Larry. Good night, Alexandre. And Artap. Marco. Oh. Booyah!